Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander, and I'm here to host our show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Today, my co-host Barbara, she hasn't called in, but I'm sure she will when she can. And our guest today is comedian Carla Collins. Are you there, Carla?
I am, Jonathan.
Now, I'm curious. What got you started in stand-up comedy?
Well, I actually started on two different occasions. I always loved comedy since I was a kid. I won a whole, Kiwanis Speech Festival with my speech on humor. And I love all types of comedy, from the Three Stooges to Oscar Wilde. So it was also a really big part of my family. I'm like the least funny family member, but I just steal everybody else's bits. So after university, I had an opportunity to go on stage. The owner of a comedy club called the Comedy Nest in Montreal overheard me making my girlfriend laugh, invited me to go on stage, which was, of course, the most terrifying thing ever. And it went really well, and I ended up getting into Just for Laughs, big festival that year, but I did not have a thick enough skin for it. The male comics in particular gave me a hard time, and I just felt like I was working in TV and radio, and I just thought to myself, I don't need this, and I left it. And I returned a few years ago because it is my first love, and I'm old enough now, so I don't really give a crap what anybody thinks about me, and got over my nerve problem with it. So now I can't wait to go on stage. I would do 45 minutes at a garage sale if I could. So I think I just do it because it's absolute freedom. You don't have, you're your own producer, director, writer. So that's why I love it. And I just feel like we need it now more than ever, obviously.
I understand. Yeah, I do think that what's important about it is, we hear jokes and then we think we forget why the joke is being told in the first place. Like sometimes we think we're making fun of somebody, but just because you're joking about something doesn't necessarily mean you're making fun of it. Am I right in saying that?
Well, I don't know, but my philosophy is, I think probably because the family I grew up in, that teasing each other equaled love. And a lot of time and energy and care goes into a joke. So to me, there's a lot of love in making fun of something. It means they're thinking about you. There's no bad press. So to me, there's a whole lot of attention that goes into a joke. And I'm always good with someone making fun of me. As my mom would say, worry about when no one's talking about you.
I understand. I'll tell you who was your heroes with comedy?
I have quite a few. My heroes would be obviously the two Godfathers, Richard Pryor and George Carlin. I compared a lot to Robin Williams, which is a huge compliment, and Carol Burnett, because watched her as a kid. I really like old school. They're not necessarily stand-ups, but Mae West is one of my idols, who was a brilliant woman and wrote and combined sexy with comedy, and, of course, Lucille Ball. And currently, I would say that the GOAT, the greatest of all time for me, is Dave Chappelle right now. So.
Okay. Do you feel, when was the last time a comedian left you laughing your head off?
Well, I just watched Jim Jeffries' special on Netflix. Not his latest one, because that comes out later this week, but I don't know about laughing my head off. I'm a pretty easy room. I I think various ones. I like Chappelle. Who else have I seen recently? Patton Oswalt is very smart, and has always been a favorite of mine. I was even watching Pete Davidson and laughing at the stories about his father. So really depends. And laughing my head off, that's usually my younger brother gets me doing that. So I tend to gravitate to anyone who can get me laughing. I always think it's, as much as it sounds trite, I always think it's the closest distance between two people. So
give me one moment, please. Okay. I mean, do you consider? I mean, a lot of people consider Richard Pryor to be the best ever.
Yeah,
so,
I agree. I agree with that. I'd say Richard Pryor, and for if you're going more old school, and current day Dave Chappelle, no contest. Dave Chappelle is fearless. It's the comedian's comedian. He is not. He doesn't have to answer to any corporation. Like Kevin Hart and Joe Rogan will tell you, that he's not on a television show. I think his sketch show, the Chappelle Show, is one of the greatest of all time, and I think his comedy for right now is fearless. He's not worried about cancel culture. For me, Sticks and Stones is probably the best comedy special in the last, 20 years. So I think if you're talking about currently, there's no one, and especially someone to address the times. I mean, he came out with 846 to address what happened to George Floyd. He's just absolutely fearless, and he's brilliant. And when everything was happening with the riots and the protesters, I remember thinking the only person to address this would be Dave Chappelle or the ghost of Richard Pryor. So I think those are two of the kings. Absolutely.
Give me 1 second. I need to check something real quick here.
Okay.
Okay, let's see here. Everybody, we're having some problems with the line, so I'm trying to get my co-host in. Let's see here. Okay. I'm sorry, everybody. You had some problems when you tried to dial in yourself, right?
The first time I dialed in, I got a busy signal, and I haven't heard a busy signal, and so.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm trying to think of a way we can do this here, because I'd like for my co-host to connect. It's okay.
Well, sure.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay. Okay. Give me 1 second here. I'm explaining to her that. Okay. Okay, give me 1 second here. I mean, I hate it when these technical problems happen, because they don't normally happen. So, give me 1 second here. Okay. I didn't know that we were going to be having technical problems tonight, so I'm trying to make sure everybody is connected. Okay. Give me 1 second here. It's good to know that you have something that makes people feel better. You know. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Okay. Okay, give me 1 moment, please. See, I'm trying. Okay. Give me 1 moment, please. Okay. I'm sorry about all this technical stuff, everyone. Okay. I'm trying to see if she can call in, okay. Okay. Give me 1 minute to get here.
Okay.
It's right here.
Hi.
This is Carla Collins.
Hi.
This is Barbie
Carla.
Moore.
Hi. Don't tell me we're live right now.
We are live, yes. But it's okay. Look.
Oh, hi, everybody. I
This
don't
stuff
know why.
happens. Yeah. We don't know why.
Hold on. Johnny, can I say something,
Sorry.
please? I just
Go
want
right
to say
ahead.
hello. Hi, everybody. Sorry I was not able to call in. There was some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Those are behind us now. I'm here. So, hello, Carla. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm so glad you the bugs got worked out.
Well, yeah, if anything, this could probably be some good material for your comedy routine.
I will personally file a customer service report with Blog Talk. I apologize to both of you.
Okay.
And I just want to hope we can go on with the interview. This lady, by the way, Carla, is one of my best friends.
Really?
And,
wow. I
and,
love Ian.
And no. What I meant to say, Carla, I was telling Carla that you were one of my best friends.
Oh, okay. I am, yes.
Because
Thank you,
it's
Johnny.
that it really is. I mean, when we go through stuff in the show, I always take it very personally. Whenever there's a technical problem, like I want to make sure that I get care of everyone.
Well, we know that, Johnny, but listen to this. We have a very talented person on the line right now. You're live,
right.
So let's get to it, why don't
Okay.
we? And, I mean, technical issues, yes, it happened, but now let's do the interview.
Okay,
let's find
so
out
do you have any
about
questions for Carla? Do you have any questions for Carla?
Well, of course I do.
Okay.
Hi, Carla. Where do you perform? What city do you reside in?
Oh, I'm in Los Angeles. So when there's
wow.
not yeah. So I perform all over LA, and when it's not a quarantine or shut down, all over Canada and all over, wherever the gigs bring me. So right now I'm doing live streaming from a local theater. So that's
wonderful.
It's sort of the new normal.
I know. That's what everybody's saying. And people are figuring it out, and they're doing it. So did you find a lot of your peers were trying to find one place where they could showcase their material right now during the coronavirus?
Well, I think the only option is online for most people. Some of the places in the U.S., I guess in Canada, maybe some clubs are open, but not a lot, and a lot aren't comfortable with doing that. So I think people have gone either to Zoom. A lot of people have stepped away from it entirely because as they say, they feel like comedy without an audience, like sex without an orgasm. And myself,
right, a little disappointing maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. When we were in the deep heart of the shutdown, I was doing a Facebook Live show every week. I think it helps when you're drinking, and also I have a background in television and radio. So I just had the person whom I refer to as my older gentleman lover and my chihuahua, and we did shows, and now I've transferred over to a local theater that is very close to me, which I'm lucky, and they're the only theater in Los Angeles that has full live streaming capabilities. It's called the Whitefire, and I did a show there a couple of weeks ago, and there were about, with the crew members and just, two of my friends, 5 people was like a big treat to be in front of 5 sentient beings. So I'll be performing there a couple times a month, and that way people from all over the planet can watch. So there are pros and cons. I also do something called comedic meditation, so I may be in a unique position where the meditation part, the guided meditation works even better because everybody's at home. They're in the quiet and safety and comfort of their own home, and at the end, they can roll over and go to sleep if they like.
Oh, I like that. Interesting, because I have a little funny story about that. I was trying to learn how to meditate, and my daughter, who's 13, she's really into it. Every time I would sit across from her, cross-legged, I would try to just have a straight face and do the breathing exercises, and I was, laughing every single time. And that reminds me, what you just said, you have this meditation comedy hour, because that's what ours seemed like all the time. So what is she would get very mad at me because I could not be serious. So I'm working on that, but what is yours like? I want to hear about this.
Well, I created it because I just really wanted to take the woo-woo and preciousness out of meditation. I think meditation is extremely beneficial for a myriad of reasons, everything from getting better sleep to anti-aging to getting inspiration and creativity. But a lot of people shy away from it, and I think it's also, especially living in LA, every second person is a guru, and they tell you that there's no wrong way to meditate, and there's no voodoo involved or religion. So I wanted to, and I know myself, I'm very A-type. I'm a very hyperactive person. I've got severe ADD. I'm always shaking like a chihuahua en masse after a couple of 5-hour energy drinks. So I always had a difficult time meditating and preferred yoga or moving meditation. But I found that if I did comedy and made people laugh for a good 30 minutes, they got out of their own way, out of their own head. They forgot about their problems. They, released energy, exhausted themselves, and released endorphins. And they were able to drift into a nice, deeper state of relaxation for the guided meditation part, which is authentic. It's not me doing shtick. It's an actual guided meditation. So I was telling Jonathan earlier off air that it sounds like a really odd marriage, but it makes more sense than you think because both laughter and meditation produce the same brainwave state, which is gamma. So they actually do go together.
Oh, I love that you did this research and are doing this. That is really interesting. And it is true. And also the stretching releases it, just all the deep breathing and the humor. That is exactly why I would laugh, because of the, all the fluff that goes along with it, and it would just tickle me. So I think this is right up my alley.
It's a great thing. I mean, laughter during meditation is just bliss. I mean, there's never the bad reason to laugh. So I think that's what I'm trying to do, is open it up to more people. And so this ends up being great for newcomers who maybe shied away from meditation or were scared to try it. And veterans are telling me, at least the feedback I'm getting, is that they're getting a much deeper, more relaxed state. People have had visions. I was like, oh, I'm going to need a testimonial from you. So it's nice for newbies, and it's nice for people who have been meditating for years. It gives it a new twist, and I think allows them to relax faster and deeper because they spent time laughing. And it's just positive, and who doesn't need to laugh and relax right now?
Oh, we all do. I'm on your website right now. I love this quote. The world is a crazy. Carla Collins, comedian. Let's see. Nope. CarlaCollins.com.
I do have CarlaCollins.com, which has some information on that. And I also have comedicmeditation.com for anybody who wants to go a little deeper or find out more about it. And, it's great because it got some wonderful press. But, NBC came and did a story on it when I first started. Of course, I was doing it live. And now I've switched over to either just private. I do one-on-ones for people, which I think people enjoyed when they were in quarantine.
I really love this. Well, I haven't checked out your other website yet, but when I do, what will I find there? Will I be able to connect with some past
well, if you
meditation?
Check out comedic you can connect with me.
That you've done?
You can connect with me and book a private, or
Johnny.
You can get tickets.
Yeah, I'm here.
You can get.
Did she drop? Oh.
No, she said she's still on the air.
Okay. Well, this is such an important question because, I'm going to go on while we're waiting for her to reconnect. I'm going to go on her other website right now. I really want to tune into this comic. It's the comic relief, really. It's the meditation
It is.
comedy hour, and I am very intrigued. Is this how you found her, because of the meditation connection?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I wanted it to be something that was educational, but at the same time comedic. And so when I saw the connection, I knew I had to contact her.
Oh, yeah. That is
Can
so
you guys
cool.
hear me?
So I'm going to log on to that right now. Is she back yet?
She's not here. Let me see here.
I can hear you guys.
Work on it while I go check it out and talk about it.
Okay, give me 1 second here.
Okay, comic meditation. I'm typing it in, everybody. And if you're at home near your computer, do it as well.
Okay.
Comedic meditation.
Okay. Maybe I'll try calling her three-way and putting her through. Give me 1 second here. Okay.
What a great idea. Okay, there it is. I am on her other website, Carla Collins, introducing comedic meditation, lighthearted enlightenment. I love this, and she says, "Okay, hi, Carla."
Hi. I could hear you guys the whole time. Can you hear me?
Okay, let me read another thing. Like Botox for your third eye. I think that is super clever.
Hey.
She's funny. You could put private sessions with Carla through both of these websites, and they're very nice too. And she has her little chihuahua and her cute big black dog, and she's beautiful. So everybody, please check out Carla Collins. I'm sorry, I'm reading at the same time. And she's going to be streaming live from the White Fire Theater.
Now, Carla, are you there?
I am.
Hi,
okay, I just three-way Carla in.
I've been here the whole time. I could hear you guys. I've been here the whole time.
You know, talking about Mercury retrograde. I mean, seriously. I mean, this is. But I was telling Barbara about how. It's sort of like we sometimes go to higher levels of experience and transcendental and everything. And when you said comedy and meditation, I saw the link and I thought, I had to have her on. Because it was just, and Barbara understands this. She goes, she would understand. Yeah, you understand now what the whole why I had to seek her out, right, Barbara?
Yes, I found out right away. It's a connection with the spiritual. You found her somehow with that search engine, but I don't know how. Was it Facebook, Twitter, Instagram?
It was a thing called Funny Chicks was what it was. And she was on, yeah. I don't know if you remember where it was, but it was like as soon as I saw her, I thought I had to look this lady up, and then it was just amazing. So I sent her Instagram, and I told her about some of the things we've done on our show. And I also saw, I think you mentioned a post about eclipses on your Instagram. I'm not sure if that was you that did that.
Oh, yeah, because I had the world on about a week or two ago. I did the world premiere of comedic meditation at the Whitefire Theater, and there were 6 planets in retrograde.
Yeah.
And a lot of my humor, I think I mentioned this to you when we were sending notes back and forth. I've always been trying to combine comedy and spirituality. I wrote a comedic self-help book called Angels, Vampires, and Douchebags. I've performed comedy at the Bala Center here. So they're 2 of my passions, and I'm always trying to combine them. But I also, as I mentioned to Jonathan, Barbara, I love to make fun of some spiritual things because it's hilarious to me as well.
Yes.
So, a lot of my comedy is playing off that. Like I'll make a joke like, I don't know what people in LA mean when they say I'm holding space for you. I'm like, is that thigh gap? Are you saving me a seat at the movies? Do you have Neil deGrasse Tyson in a chokehold? What are you talking about? So, so I've always. Because as I mentioned to Jonathan as well off air, a lot of care and time and attention and energy goes into writing a joke. So I often tend to make fun and make light of things I love.
Well,
right.
Like for instance, I have done this not to make fun, but like for instance, this had to do with something involving, there was a question I had about the Pope, and I don't know if your background, if any Catholicism in your background, but you know how they always say that the Pope is the church is not a democracy, what the Pope says goes, and the new Pope is not the Pope until they pick him, and then once the guy dies, then he's not the Pope. So, in other words, that week before they decide who the new Pope is, and until after the Pope dies, does church close? Is the week of freebie? Do you sit all you want?
Right.
Do you?
Yeah, I have a Catholic upbringing as well, so.
And actually, another question I asked in Sunday school is, if you can pray to get people out of purgatory, can you pray to keep people in purgatory? Like, what about looking at the sky and saying, hey, give Harry 4 more years, just leave him there,
Well, exactly. I was taught when my mom, who was my best friend and my everything, and I think my soulmate this time around, she passed away a few years ago very unexpectedly. And so obviously that was crushing for me, but I did an entire show called Laugh After Death, because there's a lot of comedy to be found in death and dark subjects. I think dark humor, very slimming. But I had gone back to church for the first time in forever, and I was making the observation that things had changed, because when they passed that little bird's nest or hat around for money, you get really pressured by the priest and the blue-haired ladies, and everybody's shaming you and you can't just put in $1 when you were younger. You have to, it's $20 or nothing. And so my joke was like, boy, $20 for one sip of wine. This is the crappiest bar. I'm never coming back.
Oh my gosh, I love your joke. And one
I heard another joke. Oh, sorry.
Oh, but the quotes and everything. I love this quote. Doing a lot of yoga so I can be as flexible as my morals. I mean, what you come up with is so clever, and it's one after the other. Yeah, and I'm just perusing through both your websites, and it's one after another, and your websites are beautiful, and there's a lot to you. Are you also teaching yoga?
I don't teach yoga. I do yoga. I teach dance, or at least I was, again, before the quarantine. I've been dancing since I was 2.5 years old, and a couple of years ago I did start teaching bar and Zumba at Gold Venice.
Great.
Classes have not returned, but and I love yoga, but I haven't. I mean, I love to do the whole sort of, yoga retreat in India and become an instructor at some point, but that's many hours, and I just do it on my own. But
right, me too.
Yeah.
But I want to do a yoga retreat, but not become an instructor. Maybe someday, but I want to do one just because I think that would be a wonderful time and experience and a cleansing. And wow, wouldn't that be so great? Yes.
Oh,
is anybody else? I mean, you're the only one. I've never heard of this before at all.
Well,
this.
I created it, so we've trademarked it, and I'm hoping to get this to the masses more and more. We're looking at bringing, comedic meditation to some of the digital platforms and starting a podcast because, again, I'm just very interested in blending, comedy with spirituality and having experts and pundits in both fields. And thank you so much for liking my web design. It's not at all me. I'm like a bonnet away from being Amish. I'm horrible technically, but I do have a wonderful gal, Kirsten Rutherford, who is a big baller. She's like a huge advertising executive, but she just fell in love with the comedic meditation, so she put that site together for me.
Oh, nice.
Did my flyers for these shows. So I'm always coming up with today. I think my quote was, "I put the disco in self-discovery." So again, I love it. I think we just shouldn't take ourselves too seriously, and I always enjoyed when I took some courses at the Kabbalah Center here. I joke when you go to LA, you have to join a gang. Kabbalah's for the Scientologists, so I went with Madonna's, and they said that they call it laughter is the closest thing to God. They call it holy laughter, and I was mentioning to Jonathan, cousin says laughter is the closest distance between two people. So that's really just my basic philosophy in life. So I like being the rodeo clown, but maybe with a little bit of enlightenment.
Well, yes, and just all of your sayings, the ones that just rolled off your tongue there, were like, it's an actual deep meaning. There's thought. It's like deep. So that's really great. It's, these shows. Yes, and you have to have wonderful, really great, witty jokes like that when you have a room full of people that are sitting cross-legged looking at you, Do you ever get the butterflies? I mean, hopefully you have the adrenaline rush, which feels great when you know what you're doing, That's a wonderful feeling, I think. But do you ever get nervous before you go in front of a group of people, or are you used to that now?
Well, I think I was telling Jonathan before we got you on the line that I had, to be honest, what kept me away from comedy for a long time was I had a huge nerve problem with it, almost a paralyzing one. I think it's the only reason I'm thin. I used to I couldn't eat for a couple of days leading up to a show, and I would just be terrified backstage. And I remember thinking, my goodness, this is it's optional in life. Why am I putting myself through this?
Right.
And then something happened. I think, the Malcolm Gladwell, you put in your 10,000 hours, your mastery, or you just, the nerves went away. And now, especially since my mother passed on, it's my therapy. It's just my tonic. Like, I was telling Jonathan, I would get up and do 45 minutes at a garage sale. I can't wait to get on stage now. And
wonderful.
That's what I love doing. So, I still get excited, but I don't. I mean, you want to have a little bit of nerves because that means you care and you want to give everybody a good show. But, no, now I completely embrace it, which I think meditation helped me with. That's another thing. I think it can help you get over some of those fears, right? Because I was just like, listen, I'm not on the front lines of, Kandahar. I'm just a comic.
Right.
So, like, no one's going to die except for maybe me on stage. Let's relax. And then I just, as I said, it was just such an escape for me and so healing to be able to go up on stage and talk about my mom that it completely did a 180 for me, nerve-wise. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
It is like anything else. It's like there's a hump that it's like, it's just like some people never get over that hump, and then they give up because how long can you go trudge through some? I mean, you love moments of it, but just those 2 days prior, just like horrible, and the worry and the doubts and all those horrible things in your mind that are making you feel that way. How long can a person go on that way? So it's good when people like actors, comedians, singers can get over that hump so they can now just enjoy it so much. And I'm glad to hear that all happened and you were, honest about it, because a lot of people, they are nervous. Oh, I'm not nervous, and it can freeze you up. It can totally paralyze you.
Well, I'm Canadian. I'm very honest. And I remember, I think my mom used to try and help me with it. And she'd say, she would name different pro athletes and like very famous goalie back in the day. Ken Dryden throws up in his mask before he plays hockey. And I'm like, that isn't helping. And I think one of the best things that, the best pieces of advice, there's a really big producer in Toronto called Jeffrey Latimer. And I was about to go on and he said, when you're the only person on stage, it's different than a play. He produces mostly plays and big musicals. And he said, the audience is nervous for you, so you've got to be a good host and put them at ease. They're coming in to get away from their problems and to have a relaxing night. And so when he phrased it that way, and I'm like, oh, I'm the host? Well, I can be a good host. It just, we just spend too much time in our own heads. As soon as you can get out of your own way, and I'm one of those weirdo people that, I think I'm a bit of a thrill seeker, and a risk taker, is that if I have a fear, at some point I try to meet it head on, and then it just takes its power away, right?
Yes, and it is amazing how things change when you put them in a different perspective. And I used to do that when I competed in ballroom dance. I would just imagine myself as like a tiny sand pebble, not even that compared to the whole universe. So it's like, does it matter if it doesn't go exactly like perfectly?
Exactly.
No. Right.
Exactly. I mean, we're not surgeons. It's not like, oh no, I dropped his heart. Like, that's, and you can apply the 5-10 rule. Like, is this really going to matter in 5 or 10 years? And so, again, and also if it's disastrous, that's to me now just 10 or 15 more minutes of material. Like, half
my words out of my mouth. Because, I was just thinking, sometimes it's the disasters that are just as funny as the stuff that goes well. Like, in my, for instance, it's sort of like you go up there, and actually it's funny because what I remember meeting, almost every comedian bombed the first time that they were out there. These are big names. Like, for example, like Rodney Dangerfield, the first time he came out, he was drunk. Jerry Seinfeld said 3 or 4 words and walked off the stage.
Oh, really?
People, yeah, it was like they didn't have.
Oh, that's
they were
funny.
just that they. And he said that, I think it's understandable. I think the mentality of it is that we forget how the audience sees it. Like, they're not thinking this person's up on stage and they're. I personally think that one of the best comedians I ever saw was Sam Kinison, and the thing about Sam Kinison was that he would just scream and yell, and he would get everything out, and then you found yourself just like watching. You felt like you were watching this maniac, and also I think what made Rodney Dangerfield so great was because the only way that you could really be offended by Rodney Dangerfield is to tell him to get a better self-esteem. Because
I know another way. I'm sorry. I met him. I went to a show. So super funny. I was actually surprised how the whole time I was laughing. And because, he's older school type thing. And then we went backstage afterwards, and this is what he did. And I think he did it on purpose. He had his robe on, and he was glad to meet people backstage, but he was sitting there in a tall stool, and he just had, his robe open. You could see totally all his family jewels right there, and there was a lot of people. Yeah.
He was known for doing that. I mean, I think people forget how, first of all, you both mentioned brilliant. I mean, Sam Kinison is another one he's the master and beloved and fearless. And Dangerfield, I mean, a lot of times I watch old tiny clips of him on Johnny Carson. He's just brilliant.
Well,
and, a lot of people like millennials don't know, and he was edgy. And his improv was brilliant. I think they just think of this like, I get no respect, and that he was a shtick guy, but oh my God.
Actually, what's funny about that is at the end of his life, I don't know if you know this story or not, he lapsed into a coma. And what happened was that they, they say that when someone's in a coma, you're supposed to talk to them. Over the years, Ronnie Dangerfield had given a lot of comedians their start. Louis Anderson, Andrew Dice Clay, Roseanne Barr. I mean, it was just, the list goes on and on and on. So what they all did was they went to see him in the hospital, and they did their act.
Right.
And they don't know if he heard it. He probably did hear it or something, but it was the kind of, wake him up. They weren't able to wake him up,
but
wonderful. But that was their allegiance to him. It was just like, because he gave them their start.
That's so sweet.
Yeah,
that they did that.
Beautiful tribute and gesture. I'm sure he could hear.
Mhm.
Good. That's fabulous. No, I wasn't aware of that story, but yeah, he did give so many. He's just a very generous. I like to think that he was in a coma and his robe was open and you could see everything. I mean, that's how I hope.
Carla, I'm so glad I told that story because I never knew that, and I just thought, he was doing that. Like, was it on purpose or? But he did that to people, huh? I mean, they come backstage and they have the silk robes just hanging open, and this beautiful, gorgeous wife in this turquoise suit, young, elegant, very sophisticated-looking woman standing right to the side of him, looking on. Like, she probably knew exactly what he was doing, and watching all of our reactions, it was really, that part was funny, too.
Fabulous.
Mm-hmm. And it was my dad. I was with my dad and my uncle, and we it was a group of people like that. No, we will never forget it. And it's kind of funny because we were actually there with Ron Jeremy, getting back into the news here. Yes, and my boyfriend knew him for many, many years, just as a friend, and nothing to do with porn or anything. And he's like, I know you were in Vegas for a trip with a group of people, my dad, my uncle, a lot of people. And he brought us all backstage. He's like, I know him. And that's what happened. And, yeah, that's pretty sad what happened to Ron, because I don't know if you've met him, but he was doing more mainstream work as a comedian traveling around. Did you know that?
I did, yeah. I mean, he's certainly been in the news a lot lately, and he's had a long-standing, very bad reputation for being quite a predator. But I did know some friends who worked alongside him. He also did some time at the comedy Yuck Yucks up in Toronto, my hometown. So yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting what's going on, because I just I don't know, but I have a feeling. I actually have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of people coming out of the woodwork. We were going to have him on because I knew him, and then Johnny didn't want to because of the porn thing. And I'm like, okay, well, it's our fault what people do.
What it is we're not allowed to do anything that promotes porn, and I was worried that having him on would do that and would get me into trouble. But also another aspect of it, too, I mean, it's sort of funny. It's hard to be PC about this. Like, one of the jokes that I wrote him about is I said, yeah, I know that sometimes, like, actors, when they're getting ready to go to a photo shoot, will rehearse the scene in the back of the cab or when they're going to it on the way to the studio. And I was just wondering, do porn stars ever do that? So I sent him a question and asked him if they did that. I mean, like, imagine you're driving a taxi, right? And then in the back seat, you see two guys, man and the woman. Okay, don't worry about us. We're just rehearsing a scene. They take off their glasses and it's Ron Jeremy instead of Jameson. I mean, what do you think?
Well, thank God you guys are having me on now, because I'm going to go the opposite route of Ron Jeremy. He started in porn and went to comedy, and I think, I'm going to do comedy now, but then obviously eventually go into porn. I'm going to wait till I'm going to do senior porn, something a little more niche for the boomers.
What do you have to lose, right?
One time I saw a comedian one time. He got up on stage and he told a joke and he says, my name is Jack Steele. And I know what you're thinking. With a name like Jack Steele, I must either be a football player or a porn star. But I want to clear something up right now before you go on worrying. At no time in my life have I ever played football.
Johnny, this is not your comic hour.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding, though. I mean, Johnny always has these jokes, but by the time he's done telling it, sometimes, like, my mind has wandered. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you, but
That's okay.
Yeah, it took me a long time to know your jokes because I have to actually really focus on it. But that's
okay.
why it's a very, it takes a lot of talent. It just does. It takes a lot of talent. When did you know that, okay, everybody tells me I'm funny, or I feel I'm funny, or, I see a different meaning in every single thing I come across. When did you know, Carla, that you wanted to do this stand-up?
Well, I sort of answered this at the beginning before you were on, but I've just always really been a fan of comedy, and it was extremely gregarious, almost obnoxiously so, outgoing kid. But I grew up in a very funny family and who were very encouraging and supportive. I did a speech in grade 6, entered a contest about humor. As I mentioned to Jonathan, I love everybody from the Three Stooges to Oscar Wilde to Comedy of Manners, slapstick. I really like it all. And, like everybody else, I'd have friends that would encourage it, and I was just making some friends laugh one night in Montreal, where I lived just after school, and the owner of the Comedy Nest at the time overheard me and invited me to come and perform. And it was supposed to be amateur night, but it was packed because their two big comedians were going off on some Australian tour. And I remember I was just a kid, and I walked up and I said, are you DJ? And he said, who are you? And many male comedians were awful to me at the beginning, but they were very nice, and they were making jokes like, look, Bambi does comedy. And I was in the unfortunate position where I absolutely killed the first night, which lulls you into a false sense of security.
Yeah.
But,
awesome, though. I got chills from that.
It went really well, but as it turns out, after a few months, even though I was, put in the Just for Laughs festival, etc., I did not have a thick enough skin for it. It was a harsh environment. Comedians could be really mean. So I was already working in TV and radio and opted to continue working in TV and radio. But as we mentioned earlier, I like to face my fears. So a few years back, about 8 years ago, I'm also old enough now that I don't really give a crap what people think of me. Right. And I knew I was a lot stronger and could handle my business. And it was my first love, so I went back to the stage. So that's sort of my circle of life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can imagine when you first start, and you're gorgeous, by the way. Everybody will see when they log on to your websites. And now I'm on Amazon Prime. There is a show, Carla Wood. It has episodes. It's wow. You have a show called Carla Wood. Tell us about that.
Oh, well, it's a few years old now, but it's when I first moved to Los Angeles, and it's a reality show streaming on Amazon Prime about coming from Canada and trying to come here. It's a little bit more. It's a reality show, but it's more like a sitcom. And as I said, so now it features my ex and I. But
wow.
so
cool.
yeah, but it was a really fun show to do. Yeah, went into that. There's a couple seasons of that, and I was all set to. You'll know this name, but David Steinberg was set to produce my first U.S. comedy special. I got the exciting news in February, and then we've had the shutdown. So hopefully, at some point when things return to normalcy, I'll be able to tape my comedy special.
Yeah. So, this is wonderful that you have that footage, even though these episodes were, I don't know what you said, a couple of years ago or something, but it's throughout your life, and you can just add to it. And I love the name, Carla Wood. Like Dollywood.
Yeah, well, it was supposed to be called California, but that didn't pass legal, so I came up with Carla Wood, and I'm like, well, okay.
Well, I'm
really
sharing it.
but sure.
I'm sharing it because I do have Amazon Prime, which I do love, and I'm sharing it right now on our Facebook so everybody else can easily find that.
Well, my comedic meditation, which I was calling Shelter at Home, it's exactly 1 week from today, on Wednesday, July 15th, and right now I've got the price crazy low at only $10 because I really want everyone to experience this and try it. And it's happening at 6 p.m. PST and 9 p.m. EST, but since people tune in from all over the world, or if you happen to be busy next Wednesday night, when you buy one of the links, it's good for up to 48 hours. So you can watch the show anytime for 2 days once you buy the link.
Okay, that is so good to know. And you know what I think? We just started a TV show, a TV channel on Roku. Wouldn't that be so great to have her on one of our Learn and on that for an hour?
Yes,
oh, wow. Wow, that would be so wonderful. We have a Roku, Life, Laughter, Happiness channel on Roku now. We just launched it, and we have all types of people. Thank you. Yes, we have all types of people that we're planning on having on to learn from. And what can you learn from this comic? Well, learn how to meditate and laugh while doing it. That is so up my alley. And tell us again about next Wednesday. Because I was reading this. What is next Wednesday again?
So next Wednesday I'm doing comedic meditation again, live streaming it from the White Fire Theater into the safety and comfort of your homes all over the world. And what it entails is about 30 or 40 minutes of stand-up comedy. And then I take everybody through, and everybody can sit back or lie back, shut their eyes, and I take you through an authentic and original, I write my own, guided meditation. And it's not a parody. It's an actual guided meditation, so you'll be able to chuckle and chill, laugh and relax. And the link is available on comedicmeditation.com. And as I said, I've made sure that, as I figure everybody's got $10 because I just want.
Oh yeah.
I just
saw
want
that
to
too.
Everyone.
Yes, I saw that too. The price. I went right to the prices, and you know what? That is a great price. It's affordable. Everybody. Everybody. That is a perfect price. I think that you priced that perfectly, and I want to do it. I'm going to put that in my calendar. What about you, Johnny?
We'll see. I'll look it up. I mean,
wow.
And the nice thing is that half the proceeds I give to the theater. So it also helps keep us, a small, wonderful local theater alive because obviously it's a very difficult time for them. It's also half the price of what their shows usually are because I do want everyone to experience it, and I acknowledge that it's new, so people are like, what the hell? I figure $10 because sometimes the people who need it most don't have a lot of money, especially all of us are, it's
right.
difficult time. So the nice thing is I have a friend actually tonight who just bought 10 streams, and she's giving them away to friends.
That's nice. That's wonderful.
Yes,
that is totally cool.
You can buy as many streams as you want, or $10 makes it easy for you to have. And they've done it. Looks so good. Like they've done the great thing about the White Fires. They've been perfecting their live streaming for over 2 years now, so it's just great timing for them to be able to offer this. It feels like you're in the front row of the theater. And
wow.
Everybody. We did one 2 weeks ago. That's why I'm doing one right away. And the feedback was tremendous. I didn't know I was being reviewed, and thank God I didn't know, because I would have liked them.
Yeah.
Now, where does this thing meditation air? Where does it air on the website?
Well, once you buy a ticket, you'll be sent a link the night of.
On
YouTube. You have access to that link for 48 hours. So you can watch it on anything you want. You can hook it up to your TV. You can watch it on your laptop. You can watch it on your phone. You can watch it on whatever. You just click the link. It's really easy.
Okay.
I like that.
Like a live stream. The way that live streams always work.
And then it just disappears after a couple of days. And that's cool. Yeah. And that keeps them coming back, too. I mean, you're a businesswoman.
Well, that's the thing. Well, and also it's new every time. It's different comedy and a different meditation. So. Right. So you're rolling it over. Are you on YouTube? Do you have a YouTube channel? I do have a YouTube channel. I need to update stuff on that, but I do have a YouTube channel, and a lot of my stuff can be found on my Facebook page or Instagram. So I've got some of my characters. Okay. Yeah. So, isn't there a lot these days to handle, which that's, I guess, why they're called handles? We have so much to do. All the social media and, update this, update that. You really spend most of your day doing that. Sometimes I do. Just updating everything. For my own self, Barbara Moore, and then for Life After Happiness. But, hey, that's the way it is. And you know what? We reach so many more people like that. And I'm glad. We're in this age of technology. Well, thank God, especially going through what we're going through right now. Right. I think we're all quite dependent on it and very grateful for it, considering it's our whole life now. But like you said, it's good for some people, like this theater. It's kind of giving them a new way to reach more people and to stay alive, stay afloat during all this. So people are all finding their ways, which is totally cool. But I want to know, when you said that the comedians, when you come along and you're brand new and very young, why are they mean? I mean, do they try to throw the other comedian off? Is it because there's just so much competition? I know there is. When I go to LA and I go to the Comedy Store, I mean, every single one of them is fantastic. Like, I am just like 2 hours of crying tears of laughing. I love it. So they are great. Good night. Oh, yeah. God, I've never been to a night where everybody was fabulous. So that's. Oh gosh, maybe it was just like a lottery winner. Like I had been gone for 2 years in a very small town, and I come in, and my entertainment lawyer knew everybody. So I think it was different for me that he knew everybody. We were entering through the back way, through the kitchen. Hi to this person. I don't know. Maybe I was just like really high on life too that night too. I was really excited to be there, but it seemed like they all were so funny and wonderful. But why? Why are they mean? Are they just out to get you because they want to look better than you? So they want you to quit? I can't really answer that. I have no idea why. I mean, it's just, because it's look, you're swimming with the sharks. It's just sort of the culture that a lot of, not all, of course, these are sweeping generalizations, but that a lot of comedy clubs, nerds, that's what they threw out there, and because of the sheer numbers, I think they don't want to waste their time. So it's a bit like Lions and Christians. You got to throw out there and have to be, I guess, tough enough to withstand. And obviously, I've met some wonderful comedians too, but they're often, and especially the guys, it's still. I mean, the numbers are better now, but it's still male dominated. And so, you're working with that a bit. I don't really know. It just seems, and I think that's changing now in all respects. So hopefully it's a much better atmosphere because we need more women's voices and young voices. And Because a lot of people, here's the other reason I think it's so difficult is because people see it and think, oh, anyone can do that. I'll go do this in your life. I'll go. I'm an actor or actress trying to make it in Hollywood. I'll go do. And so I think they have to weed people out just for the sheer numbers. And it's not a glamorous thing. It's very difficult, and until you make it, it's you don't make a lot of money. So I think it just forms a dog eat dog environment. I'm not at all like that, so I can't speak to why people are like that. I don't think there's any reason. I think there's room for every voice. I agree with Dave Chappelle. I think it's the purest art form, and I think we need them. I think comedians are current day philosophers and also rodeo clowns, steering you away from the bull crap. And so for me, and obviously, I do my best to nurture and create relationships with newcomers. But then again, Barbara, I'm a peach. I'm Canadian.
Yeah, you are.
So.
Yeah. But you know what? It is true, though, that it is just this raw talent because, you have to memorize, like an actor, memorize all of your lines, but then live, do it with the impeccable timing because timing, if it's not timed out right, it's too bad. It's not funny. And the timing and then working off the audience and feeling that whole energy and making that work for you instead of they're a part of you and becoming like one. Yes. And so all of those, and that takes immense talent and just like focus or just a lot of different things coming together just to ignite it. I like that you had your very first big night that it went off so great like that. I think that was good. I think that was a wonderful moment.
The kid running it said, because they did not want to put me on whatsoever. And I said, the boss said I could go on. And I was working at Canada's Weather Network at the time. So I had, the Weather Channel. I had the night off. I was an anchor there. And I said, no, I've got to go on tonight. He said I could go on. They were all looking like, who the hell is this? And he said, okay, listen, you're not my responsibility. Go up there. The light will flash after 5 minutes. It's going to seem like an eternity. You're not my responsibility. Don't ruin our big night. This is our big send-off. And I thought, oh, crap. So I went up there, and I was killing. And I finally said, you're right. This is going on forever because he left me. I was up there for 15 minutes. Let me.
Awesome. I'm glad you pointed that out. That was a good thing. Yeah, we became good friends after that. But they really do. They do those lions. And I was a kid and very, very nervous. And I can remember my friends in the front row thinking, oh, what if she bombs? She would be an awkward car ride home. But anyway. I know. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I love, sorry to interrupt, talk over you a little bit, but I just thought of that show, and this is on Amazon Prime too, Marvelous Miss, what is that show that she's
the
really
Marvelous
good? Mabel, yes. I loved that. I started watching that. I thought, that is amazing. That's a lot of dialogue to do all the time. Pretty good,
well, it's not
right?
terribly accurate about really what a comedian would do, but I absolutely adore the show, and I love Susie, her manager. It's
you said it isn't accurate.
No, it's not at all accurate for a depiction.
Why is it not accurate?
It's not accurate, but I do enjoy the show very much and the time. And I think the sad thing is I was watching it with friends, and there was, I don't know if it was the first, it was the second season, and she went up there, and there were 5 male comics heckling her and giving her a hard time, and I said, this is supposed to take place in the late 50s, and this same thing happened to me a couple of weeks ago. And I, of course, have got to the point where I can just shut those boys down because I'm killing. But I said, comedy has to catch up because it was the same deal.
But you said it isn't realistic. How is it not realistic?
The comedian herself. You don't get up on stage and start, drunk and just start telling stories off the top of your head about.
Right. And or just go up and take care of your baby, and then just catch a cab, run down, just pop in and do your schlick. Anytime you just pop in, you're doing it, and then you're out.
Yeah.
And
the
out,
kid's all of a sudden the kids disappear for all of season 2, and I'm like, okay. But it's a fun escapism, and it's beautifully acted, beautifully written. but most comedians will tell you it's not at all. And I love the fact that there's the fictional Lenny Bruce in there, that they have some real characters. But, but you got to take it for what it is in any kind of dramas. It's very difficult to really capture comedy. There's a wonderful, I can't think of the author, but my brother gave me this Pulitzer Prize book that was translated called A Horse Walks into a Bar, and it's phenomenal because this author is brilliant in that he captures, because it's really just a comedian's night on stage. And I was thinking, oh boy, because it's really hard to capture as a writer if you're not stand-up, and it's just phenomenal. So it certainly can be done.
Yes.
But
they
it's
had
a tricky one.
They had, remember when she was married and her husband was going up, he wanted to be the comedian. She didn't even want to be. And, yes, and he bombed so much. Oh, wow, was that an awkward time? That can be really a reality for a lot.
Someone else's material that he saw on, was it Ed Sullivan or something? I can't remember, but he was, doing somebody else's shtick. Like all the,
it was just all bad.
So,
all bad. It was just like, but that really happens. Have you witnessed a really, really bad bomb live with somebody that you know or was there live and saw that happen?
Have I witnessed a bomb?
Like somebody bombing, like completely just going up there and just...
Oh, every night. Every night
really?
of comedy, I've witnessed a bomb.
So this is happening a lot. And so do they just say, oh, gosh, like that didn't go well, but they keep coming back? Or does that sometimes just, like, ruin somebody and they never want to do it again?
Again, I can't answer for someone else, but I think people know that bombing's probably going to be part of it, and they always come back. I think there's a real love, and, everyone's bombed, and I think they'll know that's part of it, but especially newcomers the best thing is to acknowledge. There's not a lot of rules, I think. You have to be your own person up there, but you can never turn on the crowd. It's never the crowd's fault. And a lot of comedians make that mistake and start getting angry, like, are you guys all asleep?
Right.
I know when I first started, I just start talking faster and over it, and then finally, if it's quiet, I just play with it. But I'll do an entire show improvised, so I'm just like, okay, listen. That obviously needs some finessing, or you guys are not with me on that. That was too delicate. And if you acknowledge it, and just, it's all good comedy. Just comes from an authentic, honest place. If you're yourself, and I think crowds now and audiences, they're so sophisticated. It's like, 8-month-old are working on TikTok, and I think they can sniff a phony.
Oh, yeah.
So the days of somebody going up there, and, like old-timey comedians don't, like old-time radio people going, good body every morning, put waters in your cabbage. Like, no one wants to hear that fake stuff.
Nobody.
Everybody wants
I just wouldn't laugh.
Yeah, they'd want it to be organic. And so I always say you have to be yourself. And I guess, I don't know, I'm guessing the key is to come up with something that's extraordinarily original, but yet still amazingly universal.
I bet you're constantly thinking of things. This is happening. You're probably writing all day or notes. You have to have your pad and pen with you because
I
really,
have all over my place. I
right.
can't sleep. I get up. I try to write every day.
Because you're finding comedy in pretty much everything. You can. I think that's a wonderful life because you are over the hump for years now. Something completely original that is taking off, and you found a nice place during the coronavirus to stream and show your craft, and you're continuing to do it because, like you said, is it your seltzer, your soda water? It keeps you going. You need it.
Well, thank you. You've got 6 hours to self-compliment me, Barb. You're my new girl crush.
Well, my goodness. I admire you. This is not
thank
easy.
You so much.
This is not easy stuff at all.
Well,
and plus,
nothing is at first, right? Nothing is. We've all got our challenges, so might as well laugh along the way. Because
there's other things that are a lot easier than stand-up comedy. No, to me, it's hard.
But as I said, everything. I think the stand-up comedy is also very, it's a seductive mistress, and I think you get addicted to the laughter back when we had them, and immediate gratification, and as I was saying to Jonathan earlier, just the total freedom, because, if I'm acting or doing voiceovers, I'm reading someone else's material, and there's restrictions on everything, whether it's radio or TV. But when you're doing comedy, what's terrifying about it is also what's so alluring. You get to be writer, director, producer, performer. It's just you and a microphone. It's a beautiful, pure art, really, in that way.
Yes, with no restrictions. You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Wow, I love it. Well, this has been so wonderful getting to know you and who you are and getting a glimpse into your and how it all happened. And wonderful. And you're from Canada. Did you say you're from Montreal?
No, I lived in Montreal. I was actually born in a very small town called Sault Ste. Marie. There is a Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, Twin Cities. And I would probably say Toronto is home. I spent I guess probably the longest time in the Toronto area, and now LA. I've lived in France. I speak French as well. My mom is
cool.
French.
That's what I was going to ask you. Because
so
the French Quarter.
Bit of a gypsy, but I figured life's short, so you got to try and live in a few. And you guys are out of New York?
I live in Huntington Beach, but I always was living in LA before
I live
that.
in Florida.
Oh, so you're in Florida, and where are you, Barbara?
Huntington Beach, California, but I always lived in LA area before. Yeah, I can come to your shows. I am so into it. I love it. And I haven't been to a comedy place for about a year. And it's time. Sometimes I just have to go.
It might be another year before we get to do it, but let's fingers crossed that we can gather again soon.
Well, hey, everybody, I'm going to be there next Wednesday. I want to experience. Yeah, I want to experience the comedic meditation. Well, that is if we're not doing our show live. What time is this again? You might as well just tell our listeners from is it called the White? What is the theater called?
It's the White Fire Theater, but you just go to comedicmeditation.com. You can go to whitefiretheater.com too, because that's where you get links for the tickets. And remember, if you guys are busy, you can just tune in at any time within 48 hours after we go live.
Okay.
So I'll go from 6 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time, until about 7:30. But if that's not convenient for you, the link will be up and you can hit that whenever you want for the next 48 hours. So we've set it up so that, if everybody's busy or they have a conflict, that you can watch it for 2 days.
Well, that's wonderful because you want to be able to sit down or lay down after you enjoy your show. And that's a good amount of comedy that you're giving to people, 30 to 40 minutes of stand-up, and then you want to be able to relax, and maybe you're not going to go to bed at 7 o'clock. If it starts at 6, you want to save it for later. That's what I would do, and then
exactly.
Yeah, after a good laugh.
The East Coast loves it because we had a question and answer period, which I think we'll be doing again because everybody seems to like that at the end of it. And I had all these friends say, "Oh, I just love the show and meditation, but where was the question and answer period?" And I said, "I think you fell asleep," because especially the East Coast or Europe, where it's much later.
Yeah. Like Johnny, he can fall asleep after our show every night. For me, then I make dinner.
Yeah, so that's why it's great for the East Coast because they'll get it at 9, and we tried to schedule it so it would work for as many time zones as popular. And my brother in New Zealand, watches it. He's still teaching during that time, so he just watches it later.
Oh, cool! Out there in New Zealand, I know worldwide.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm so glad that you just told everybody, because that was our shout out for you of where to find this comedic meditation next Wednesday night. How fun. I love it. And
good. Well, I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me on your show.
Thank you. All right.
You're welcome. Carla Collins. She's super funny, fabulous, and, when you're not on stage, you're wonderful. You're a light. You're a joy, energy. Yeah, I love that. Good job, Johnny, for finding Carla. So we can, get to know her. I love it. Awesome. Well,
you guys are awesome.
Ready for the shout out?
Yes, the shout out is to where you can find this show. In about an hour, we're going to upload it to our YouTube channel, Life, Laughter, Happiness. So please listen to this show again and listen to our other shows. Find, about 300 or maybe 400 shows now to choose from there. And we are super excited to continue with creating episodes for our new Roku channel, Life, Laughter, Happiness, Learn. And we hope to bring Carla Collins back for that, for one of these wonderful meditations. That would be awesome. And please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and our Facebook. We update that regularly with info on everything we're doing. So thank everybody for listening. And, we wish you a wonderful night, Carla. And we're so sorry. We're sorry for the beginning of the show when nobody could connect and there was all the technical issues. But we are still in Mercury retrograde, everybody. But around July 15th, it's going to probably be over.
Okay.
There we go. Just in time for comedic meditation. Thanks so much, guys. I'm going to jump off, but I really appreciate everything. You're wonderful.
Well, good night, Barbara.
Thank you, Carla. Good night. Good night, everybody.